Hey guys, it's Main here, back again with another account review, and today we're looking at Bitsymphony's account. I kind of spoiled myself, and sorry I was looking at the whole because I realized there's some things here that were missing, and I kind of wanted to take a look. So we're taking a look at Bitsymphony's account today, trying to give them some help, and honestly it looks like, I don't want to say an early game account because clearly it's not early game, but it's more like it's kind of transitioning to end game. I feel like once you get to Cavern 15, it's kind of like the breakthrough you need because Dragon Warrior statue is just that powerful, assuming you can actually multi-kill it. All that aside, you are kind of very close to the end game. There's a few things you kind of need to do to your account to really transition there, like very easy things that I don't often talk about, but you're kind of in the transitory phase of you're at the end of World 6, you're focusing on the whole a bit more, trying to optimize things, and then you're about to hit this like really explosive growth when it comes to the Dragon Warrior statue, or at least getting to Cavern 15 itself is a huge milestone because you unlock like 2 different stamps. You unlock the Dragon Warrior statue, obviously it's another +1 statue to Onyx eventually. It's a huge statue in terms of power for your account, and stuff like that. So I guess start from the basics. Let's take a look at the base of the account, stamps, alchemy, stuff like that. See what we can do to advise and move forward. So let's take a look. Stamps. Okay, I'll start here. I see it kind of maybe started a little bit later, but you don't have like a bajillion exalted stamps, so you just have the ones from Windwalker, I assume. So somewhat of a newer player, despite your count being made all the way back then in 2021. Definitely newer, at least more recent player, I can tell, because at least you weren't in on some of the like hype moments, such as the exalted stamps being a limited time shop, or maybe the event exalted stamp and stuff like that. So I only see 4 exalted stamps that you have, which is, it's fine. Just kind of sucks. Obviously you missed out on, what could have been, but these are all good exalted stamps. I don't really disagree with any. I would rather have seen an exalt on Mason Jar stamp rather than Refinery, for example. If your whole goal was to push, faster refinery cycles, which I imagine it might be, there's a few things you could do outside of using such a limited resource like an exalted stamp. So say, for example, you're a person in this situation as Bitsymphony where you're considering exalting refinery over some other stamp. Let's take a look at what you can do like very early on in the game to try to fix your refinery to get more cycles, as opposed to exalting the stamp, because all in all, in terms of bonuses, this stamp doesn't really affect too much for your refinery cycles. Yeah, sure, it's a large number, like 187 is more so than you'll see anywhere else, but it doesn't constitute the biggest source of refinery cycle speed, which we'll talk about right now. So let's take a look at the refinery real quick, because I see that you're ranked 22 on red salt, 13 for explosive salts, spontaneity, I don't see it it's on auto refine. Dioxide at 0%, 0.1. So, okay, so these are in auto refine. So refinery is fairly low. You've out leveled the explosive salt, but it looks like you're trying to fix that and getting your redox up into the level. So how do you actually get more cycle time, or rather, a lower cycle time for refinery? So if you take a look at the information here, it'll tell you pretty much everything that goes into refinery cycle speed. So what constitutes the base? Just the refinery itself. The vial, obviously the red salt vial gives you refinery cycle speed. Salt lick itself, the family tab bonus, I think is DK or Squire, gives you refinery cycle speed. The stamp itself gives you 1.87, shinies 0.5, and the biggest one there being construct mastery. So of the things that you can naturally affect, construct mastery is actually fairly powerful. And for those of you who don't know what construct mastery is again, it's a rift upgrade, which is very, very strong. That gives you a ton of refinery cycle speed for every 10 levels you get into your buildings in construction. So it's not geared towards your actual construction level across your characters. It's the total level of all of the buildings you have in construction. So that comes in form of shrines. It comes in the form of towers, the 3D printer, library book, death note, all this stuff. That's what it means by construction level here. So simply being the easiest way for you to actually scale your refinery cycle speed is going to come from just leveling up your buildings and trying to optimize what buildings are being built. So if you go back to your buildings here, easiest way I can see right off the bat, you have talent library book. It takes 9 seconds in a trim slot to level this up. To take it up 10 levels, it's probably, what, like a minute, 2 minutes? There you go. That's another 1% refinery speed. So instead of 2.14, 2.15 now. Atom Collider, it takes 1 minute in a trim slot. Boulder Roller takes 20 minutes in a trim slot. Fireball Lobbers, 42 minutes, 14 minutes, 13 minutes, 21 minutes, 21, 20, 13, 9, 1 minute. So you have a lot of, available construction buildings that you can actually go and level up, as opposed to wasting a very limited resource like an exalted stamp. So if you want to get more refinery cycle speed and speed things up, you want to level up your buildings in construction. Now, how do you get more construction rate? Because obviously you're not going to stay at 1 minute trim slot forever, right? So you need to scale build rate, build speed, stuff like that. So biggest source obviously comes from the Alchemy bubble, which is Carpenter, which is an orange cauldron bubble. So so if you have Prisma fragments, if you have leftover Prisma fragments, I'd highly recommend trying to Prisma the Carpenter bubble. The 4% build speed, 4% build speed is it's a very misunderstood. I'm trying to elucidate it more in my videos because it's only more recently that I've heard people talk about it and actually speak about the power of it. But what build speed is, it is a multiplier to both build rate and construction EXP for your characters. So this is doubly, like, it's multiplicatively powerful for your characters. Again, I could be misquoting things here, but the way I've seen people talk about this and, really go after this in recent days, build speed is a very significant factor when it comes to construction, how people are hitting things, their construction build rate into the trillions to, I don't think quadrillions, but hundreds of trillions of build speed, or rather build rate. It's in the form of build speed, and Carpenter is a big source of that, obviously, because you get build speed per construction level. So leveling up construction, focusing on upgrading Call Me Bob, I guess, if you're early game, at least getting the Seesaw statue to Onyx, stuff like that will help in getting you more construction EXP. So build speed is a very good thing to do. If you have a Prisma bubble, this is a fantastic one to do, because this multiplies, or rather heavily impacts the actual construction EXP you get on the characters that are in construction. This is a great bubble to Prisma, and as they get more levels, they'll be getting more build rate and also more EXP. So this is a great way to kind of scale into it. And construction levels, this is a very safe bubble to Prisma, because levels, account skill levels, are very, very important. So trying to maximize the amount of experience your characters get in construction is a great way to scale skill levels. And I haven't really talked about this in a while, but the reason why skill levels are so important is because of the whole. There's a lot of measure bonuses, or I think there's 2 or 3 that scale off of account skill level. One of them, most importantly, being bravery sword damage. So all the skill levels you get from lab, divinity, mining, chopping, catching, fishing, construction, alchemy, all that stuff adds together to this, and it acts as the multiplier for how this goes from 836% to 2,630 times bravery sword max damage. And that's, how you scale and get a ton more damage in bravery, is primarily focusing on skill levels, but also leveling up the measure upgrade and also getting more hours in bravery. So you are able to push a little bit farther. Okay, cool. I mean, we'll talk about, the whole a little bit more in depth a little bit later, but let's go back to construction and talk about that, because I see that being, a big pain point for your account. So obviously building levels, very important. Next thing, I actually, I really don't talk about this a lot, because I don't want to give the impression this is an overly complex mechanic. Trust me when I say construction, the construction board, cog, positioning itself is not at all complicated. It's actually very, very simple, but it can be a little counterintuitive. So, if you're an early game player, it's somewhat daunting, but trust me when I say it is very, very easy for you to do. So number one, if you have Zen cogs, so this yin and yang cogs, these giant wogs, Excogia, right? These are gem shop purchases. Now, they are very, very powerful, and all the end gamers you should be using this. So, you know, farm daily gems. I highly recommend trying to get this because the sooner you get it, obviously your character is going to be getting more construction rate. They're going to be getting more build rate. And these specific cogs right here, they affect, they're like directional cogs. They'll multiply the build rate and construction EXP that the characters on the board get so long as they're in this radius, right? But Excogia, this impacts the entire board. So the placement itself doesn't matter. But when it comes to the board, there's one simple rule. You only want to get construction EXP. That is it. So when it comes to your directional cogs, I don't have all this because I'm lazy, and this is bad. I should fix this to be completely fair, but you primarily want player construct DXP as a directional cog pointing towards the characters on the board. And let me talk about the characters on the board in just a second, but I just want to make sure we're at a foundation understanding that player construct XP is the most powerful stat you can get in construction. I could take build rate off. These don't matter at all. Yes, you see my build rate going down by trillions. Yes, it's visually like very daunting to lose that. However, remember that construction EXP and levels you have in construction determine how much build rate you have. So by you multiplying the EXP of these characters and then leveling up more, you're going to outpace whatever EXP you would have lost just by having build rate. So say for, you know, you have this directional 60% build rate, whatever, on your construction board, and you have instead a construction EXP cog, a directional EXP cog, and you wait like a week. It may take a little bit longer, but you will experience an explosive growth of build rate. You know, focusing strictly on EXP is the best way to level up your characters, and it's the best way to scale build rate in this entire game. You'll also notice that none of these cogs are optimized for build rate. Like going off of build rate on individual cogs is so minuscule. It is laughably bad. And you would never, ever, no matter where you are in the game, if you just hit World 3, sure, fine. But the moment you step foot into the Frost Flakes map, build rate's like already bad and terrible, because the vast majority, 99.9999999% of the build rate that you get is going to come from your characters, specifically your squires. And the reason I say squires plural, and this is the absolute number one reason why people want DKs, 2 DKs on your account, is because of construction, because of how they impact construction, how much build rate they can get. If I were to swap these characters out with Deathbringers, which I have right here, you'll see the build rate on this character is so much worse, 931 billion compared to 28 trillion. The reason being is the squires have a natural talent for build speed, which, build speed, as we mentioned, is very important because it is a multiplier to the amount of construction EXP you get and also build rate. So that's just a testament to how powerful build speed is. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about in terms of build speed, why build speed's important, or rather where the build speed's coming from, which talent it is, this talent right here, redox rates, which I don't have a 455, don't worry about it. It's for every power of 10 redox salts you have in your storage chest, you get more build speed. Again, there's that word, build speed. Think multiplicative build rate, multiplicative EXP. This is very, very powerful. It is a extremely strong source of strength for your squires and how you get more build rate out of your characters and also make them level up faster. Okay, so that's why squires are important. That's why it's important to have 2. Now, you could theoretically fit 10 characters on the board, but it's also inoptimal because you need to optimize for 10 characters. It's better to do it on 2 because you can put them side by side, have them focused by one directional cog or like one lane of directional cogs where they're all player construct EXP, and you don't have to have 10 rows or 5 rows full of directional EXP cogs. Also, those other characters that are not squires are not going to level up as fast. That's why your squires, if optimized, are always going to be a higher level on the construction board compared to your other characters, even your V-Man, because V-Man you never want on the board because it doesn't have that redox salt talent, so it doesn't have build speed, so it's not going to get a significant amount of build rate or construction EXP out of it. However, your squires do, so that's why they are really, really easy to get a lot of construction EXP out of and construction levels out of. Obviously, the flat percentage construction EXP you get from the cogs and the Call Me Bob bubble, these are, great because, build speed needs something to multiply, and this is how you get a lot of the construction EXP is going to be Call Me Bob. So, focusing your daily atoms into this if you can. If you're at a point where you're super end game, you have like a quadrillion, billion, bajillion multi-kill per tier, and you're able to candy click Call Me Bob, because I know people do that. You're absolutely able to do that and get this up to like the hundreds of thousands of levels to get a ton of construction EXP. That's not saying that's something you need to do right now, Bitsymphony, but I've just given notice that some people do that, and that's a perfectly valid strategy because of how powerful construction is. Okay, cool. So we talked about why squires are important, why people want 2 squires. Player construct EXP being a directional cog, the boost entire row is very, very important. I haven't talked about why. I kind of glanced over that. So let's talk about that real quick. So there's 2 different types of player construct EXP when it comes to cogs. So when it's on a regular cog, this is just adds to the player XP bonus you see at the bottom left here. Okay, so I'm going to take out this 292 cog here, and you'll see it go down by roughly 0.292, right? So it goes from 14.6 to 14.3. So it goes down by roughly 300. So we expect that. So this just adds to this player XP bonus. And you see, if I were to take the cog compared to the EXP before and after, with the cog on the board, 3.7 quadrillion construction EXP. I take that off, that goes down to 3.67 trillion construction EXP. So it's a rather significant amount. So getting EXP on cogs, getting a high EXP cog is very important. Directional cogs are way more important because the player construct EXP you get at this bottom section here, this boost the entire row, this is a straight up multiplier to the amount of player construct EXP your characters get. Now, I'm not exactly multiplying this EXP by 1.44. It's adding to what other directional cogs are on the board. So for example, I have 176 here, another 176, 176, 176. I have then a bunch of other player construct EXP cogs here. So this isn't straight 1.44 times EXP, but you'll see it's very significant. So I take this 146% constructional, or sorry, the 44% directional cog off. I go from 3.7Q construction EXP per hour down to 3.62. Remember that this cog has 150% less bonus construct EXP compared to this cog, and it's decreasing it by even more because, again, this bottom section of player construct EXP is a multiplier to whatever it's pointing to. So these characters are getting a massive increase to construction EXP, and that's why you want a full board, or rather, your directional cogs, when they point to your characters, you only want player construct EXP. If you have Zen cogs and you have this Yang Mongo cog, whatever, you have all the build rate multiplier you need. You don't need any more directional cogs. You just let the Zen cogs themselves handle it, and just strictly focus on player construct EXP, because as I said, the longer you're on player construct EXP setup, the faster and faster you'll build buildings, which means you get more build rate, or rather build speed for your characters, because remember, the carpenter bubble gives you build speed, so it's very important. Also, what stamp got hit? Oh my god, I just missed my daily reset. Polearm stamp, dang it. Okay, but yeah, as you get more EXP, you get more build rate. Again, this is a very long-term strategy, but you always want to do this at every stage of the game. And I mean every stage of the game. I'm currently doing this with my free-to-play account. I'll drag this over right now. I only have my squires on the board. My directional cogs, some of them are build rate, sure, because I happen to roll 64%, but I'm hard focusing or trying to focus on construct EXP because of how important it is for your characters. And so whenever I see construct EXP, I'm going to replace these cogs because it's very, very important. And obviously I haven't swapped this out from the speed run where I only had a week of time to focus on it. So I was mostly focusing on build rate because, it's easier in a 1 week time span to focus on build rate than optimize for construct EXP. Anyways, lots of nuances here. Don't compare to my free-to-play account, but just know construct EXP is very, very important. Again, I guess one thing else I kind of glanced over about the construction board is how you set it up. I think the logic should should kind of speak for itself, but your Zen cogs obviously surrounding your 2 DKs, keep them in a line. You want a lane of directional cogs pointing to them. You kind of want these like ulti left cogs and ulti right cogs to be optimized and trying to hit as many of your squires as possible. These 2 corners right here obviously are impacting them both, so you want these definitely to be player construct EXP. For the up and down cogs, focusing on those squires, you want them to be player construct EXP. And then everything else where you can't fit a directional cog, just put whatever cog has the highest player construct EXP you can. This, particularly the small cogs that don't have any direction, that aren't pointing towards your squires, you don't want to have any build rate, you don't want to have any flaggy rate, you just want EXP. Even if you're just going and trying to unlock the entire flag board, just focus on EXP, because guess what? The more levels your characters get, the more flaggy rate they get, so they'll be able to level up and unlock those flag slots a lot faster. So focus strictly on construction EXP. That's all you need when it comes to construction. Okay, very big tangent. Moving away from that, let's go back to your buildings. So, that's what I recommend. Try to, I guess you kind of have the setup already. Try to get more directional cogs, focusing on player construct EXP as that big multiplier. Seems like you're doing that, so great job there. Keep it up and try to flesh out your rows here. Also, double check that these are your squires and not other characters. Shrimpoli and Symphony. Okay, perfect. Cool. Okay. So Construct Mastery in the Rift gives you a ton of refinery cycle speed. It'll outcompete with that stamp. So, just leveling up your buildings, focusing on that construction rate. I guess the big thing for your account that's really going to help with explosive growth is trying to get Carpenter into the Atom range. So how do you do that? Obviously, you're really low on orange salt, so I wouldn't recommend upgrading this bubble like with its raw cost. I'd probably do bargain tags. So going into the shop, buying bargain tags, trying to level this up. I would also consider... Okay, so you have this this upgrade here at level 13. So the upgrade cost for the bubble is, it's very low because of Barley Brew being at level 13. It's not a bad thing, but you can actually use this to your advantage. So in lab, people often forget about this node here, and I've first heard this from Griffey. I'm sure it came from other people in the community, but you can actually deconnect from this node right here, my first chemistry step, and instead of, it'll decrease the bonus that the vial actually gives you. So that means you will have an increased cost to your alchemy bubbles. So as you disconnect that node, you'll see the cost of Carpenter actually go up because that node is being disconnected, because of Barley Brew not having double effect, right? So you'll be able to hit, hopefully like 1 million resources or so, 2 million resources, but eventually the goal is to try to hit 100 million resources. So you are able to use atoms on this to level it up. And I would definitely recommend trying to use atoms on this, trying to get this to like level, like say like 500, 600, 700, whatever. If you want to push into the thousands, go ahead. Because of how powerful this bubble is, aforementioned, talking about build speed, construction rate, construction EXP is a very powerful bubble, right? So it's definitely one you want to focus on and try to up as much as you can. Along the same vein, talking about Call Me Bob. Now, I don't think you're in a position to atom, not really atom this, but to like active ES click or candy click or anything. Maybe consider atoming this. So working definitely on your prints, trying to get higher prints, get enough atom generation to sustain Call Me Bob, and try to click on Call Me Bob a lot, because this is, like I said, flat construction EXP. This will multiply with all the other multipliers you're finding. So the build speed, as we mentioned, very important. The construction, directional EXP, all that stuff is very, very important to worry about. Okay, cool. Outside of alchemy, outside of construction itself, there is, I think, 2 other sources of build speed that I want to talk about that you can probably do to improve your account. And one of them transitions nicely into another topic, which is Death Note. We'll leave that for just a second, and let's go over to summoning, because summoning actually has, I believe, a build speed multiplier. I need to double check that. Construct speed, whatever, it's the same thing. Make sure all your base battles are done, which I suspect they are. The the only way for you to really scale the summon stuff is going to be through doing more endless summoning waves, which I imagine you might be hard locked, but specifically wave 240 is your next big thing for winter bonuses, because that will increase the construction speed you get from summoning. So this is kind of out of your reach, I imagine, so this is kind of out of the window. But for those of you who kind of, put summoning on the wayside for a little bit to collect essence, and you haven't pushed endless in a while, if you're near a summoning bonus or a winter bonus, highly recommend trying to do it, because it'll increase the amount of construction speed you get from that. The other thing to mention, obviously I see 25 library max here, so that means you're missing some winter summoner bonuses. I imagine that might be sailing, potentially. Yeah, you're missing the Sovereign Winds Lantern. So this is definitely number one thing I want you to work on, is try to get to the Winds Lantern, try to get it Sovereign. As painful as it may be, this is very powerful because it gives you those talent levels, but it also gives you that construction speed. Very, very powerful, very, very important for you right now, especially as you try to up your buildings, try to get more build rate and construction EXP to try to get those higher buildings to focus on your refinery, right? Okay. And then I guess the only other thing I can think of would be the Pristine Charm, which if you don't have it, which you do, okay, you do have it. Yeah, I think the only thing you're missing that would impact like library speed, for example, is going to be that the summoner, the Winds Lantern from sailing. So focusing on that 100% is definitely what you should do. If you haven't already, get your beanstalk up to 10k for golden hamster gummies. I don't know what the gold food effect is of your golden hamster gummies. I suspect you're at 100% where it caps out. Yeah, okay. You don't need golden hamster gummies on your characters because you have the 10k on the beanstalk. All these characters are above the 100%, so this is kind of a wasted food slot. You don't need golden hamster gummies on your characters at all. Once you're past 100% on the claiming AFK gains for sailing from the hamster gummies, it can't like double proc, for example, so you don't need to put the golden hamster gummies on your characters anymore if you have 10k on the beanstalk and that 10k is giving you more than 100% of this bonus. Now, I do want to point out that there are other forms of claiming AFK gives sailing AFK time that are worth mentioning. For those of you who aren't hitting this 100%, for example, and where you need to kind of get multiple sources of it. Number one is the Omnifau God. So there is a god in Divinity that gives you a 15% chance whenever you claim AFK time to claim one of the following, which is Refinery, which we'll come back to because you need a Refinery. 3D printer, cooking, pet breeding, sailing, or gaming. So whenever you claim AFK time on this character, on whatever character is linked to it, which you could do in Pocket Divinity if you don't have Doot, or if you do have Doot, you don't need to worry about it. You could proc sailing to help you progress to that last island. So say you aren't say you claim your boats every 2 hours, but your boats take 4-6 hours to get to, you could potentially proc sailing here and get closer to collecting the treasure from that boat. So this is very important. I guess going back real quick, talking about Refinery, I see you have Doot based off of all your characters being linked to them. But if you didn't have Doot, I would definitely consider your two Pocket Divinity gods being Arctis and Omnifau, or Goat God Omnifau, something. But if you're free to play, you don't have Doot, Omnifau is a good link to have because it progresses Refinery, and Refinery is kind of an early salt lock or lock for people. And especially if you don't have the gold food effect, the sailing from the golden hamster gummies might be lacking in your account. So trying to link to Omnifau and trying to force sailing to proc to progress it a little bit faster might help you if you're more of a free to play player that doesn't have Doot. So recommend that. Okay, let's go back to build speed real quick because there's one last thing I want to talk about, which is a little forgotten about thing, because one, I don't talk about it a lot. Number two, it also goes unnoticed because people get it and kind of don't worry about it ever again because they don't read, because we're Idleon players, right? There is a vault upgrade called Billy Sheepy. This is construction speed for power of 10 sheepy kills. So by you killing more sheepies, you can actually get more construction speed. And I wanted to transition into this talking about build speed because there's a larger problem here in the fact that you don't have all Eclipse Skulls. You are at the end of World 6. You've almost completed Eclipse Skulls for World 6, but you haven't completed Eclipse Skulls for World 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. So there's 3 layers of complexity here I want to dive into. Number one, your characters probably need more damage. And number two, your V-Man probably needs more power to get through higher portal count, to get you more V-Man points, to get you higher talent levels into things like voodoo statification, like species epoch, like was it speedrun killer on the hill, whatever that talent is, the second to last one, and then blood marrow, right? You may be lacking in talent points to be able to book all of that to 299, 301, whatever your max talent level is, because you don't have enough portal kills, for example. So the number one way to do that and scale that is the multi-kill per tier bonus that you get from the actual mobs inside of World 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So if you're struggling pushing past whatever portal count you're at right now, the fastest and easiest way for you to fix that is trying to get Eclipse Skulls on every single mob outside of mini bosses, obviously. Eclipse Skulls scale two things. One, going from a lava skull to an Eclipse Skull gives you 10% multi-kill per tier inside that world. And secondly, also gives you a 5% multiplicative damage bonus, which is very, very powerful for your characters, because if you're trying to push more Emperor kills, you need more damage, right? So this is a very easy way for you to scale your damage right now, considering you have almost eclipsed all of World 6. I guarantee you can do all of World 1 through 5. And thirdly, the most important thing about multi-kill per tier and the Death Note specifically is World 5. World 5 is like doubly important because of the hole. The hole is impacted by the Death Note's multi-kill. So by you getting multi-kill on the World 5 mobs, you can actually affect the multi-kill on the Gloomy's Cavern, and also eventually the Golem's Cavern, which you need for the Dragon Warrior statue. So to prep your account in preparation for the Dragon Warrior statue, go through every mob in World 5, get it eclipse as you should for World 1 through World, all the worlds at this point, because you're almost done with World 6. Spend candy, get through it, complete it, and when you get to sheepies, try to go a little bit beyond 1 billion. Try to go 10 billion if you can, because save the 10 billion for last, obviously, once you get everything else to eclipse, so you have that multi-kill bonus in the world. But that'll help you significantly in construction speed, to help you with your refinery and getting more refinery cycle speed, to help you level up your refinery a little bit faster, right? Cool. Okay, so multi-kill, very important. Finish out the 1 billion kills. I would definitely do this on your Deathbringer. If you have 2, do it on your second one. You only have 1, so just do it on this character. Because of how much damage your characters have, considering you're at the end of World 6, I would probably consider just straight up going the 1 billion kills on your Deathbringer, because the Apocalypse WoW talent here requires 1 billion kills, which gives you Gold Food Effect, which is obviously very important because it'll help you with all stat, it'll help you with AFK gains, it'll help you with Shrine EXP, which the ballot might be coming out soon, so that's exciting. But it's very, very important. Also, the Super Chow is very important. So getting to 100 million kills is like absolute must for your Blood Berserker, because if you haven't already gotten to 110 meals, it's definitely recommended. The Super Chow journey, something pretty much everyone needs to go on. And to prep for World 7, definitely something you should do. And to make sure you can actually level up all of these meals, let's hide the caps, do Overflowing Ladle, time to 110. Oh, dude, you can finish all your meals to 110. What are you doing? Okay, yeah, cool. I'll talk about this very briefly. I won't go in detail because I've already talked a lot about construction specifically. But if you need ladles and you don't want to AFK in the kitchen on your Deathbringer, because that's understandable, just take your DK, go to World 4 Coliseum, put down the orb, clear the Coliseum. Killing that mutated mush at the end with your DK, you should net you more than enough ladles to complete cooking at your stage of the game. If you don't know why that works, DK Orb works within World 1 through World 4 Coliseum, so it'll multiply the drops from the mini-boss, and the World 4 mini-boss drops eggs and ladles, and that's the most common way to get eggs and ladles nowadays, is through high drop rate, high orb level, and that drop rate multi that the DK naturally gives you with a high orb. So yeah, you should be able to get the 60, 70 ladles that you need to complete cooking right now, and that'll net you some pretty nice bonuses to your account. Like, you're missing a little bit of summoning EXP, which is pretty good, summoning essence gain that might help you push endless summoning, Gold Food Effect, obviously very, very important because it'll help you with total damage, all stat, AFK gains, Shrine EXP, all that stuff, very, very important. And obviously crop evo if you need to still finish farming, which I suspect you probably do. You're nowhere close to finishing farming, but getting to 180 crops, that crop evo from the meals is very, very important, and getting those to 110 will help you get there a little bit faster. Cool. Okay. I think I've talked at length, so I'll end the review very shortly, but the last thing I want to talk about is probably master classes. You're probably nearing a point where you want to start worrying about master classes and try to progress them a little bit more. Overall, I want to see your character's skill levels, though, because that's a very big factor into it. Number one, your Deathbringer is at 650, so that's good. Progressing Deathbringer at any... You can use Charred Bones whenever you want. You can save them for World 7. You can use them right now. Up to you. I would probably consider using Deathbringer Bones specifically for the Villager extracurricular upgrade. Oh my god. Yeah, you're at Cavern 14 right now. You can probably get to Cavern 15 within the next week if you were to use more Deathbringer Bones and get to Villager extracurricular? Hold on. It's just doubly bad. It's just doubly misspelled, I think. It's not extracircular. It's not extracurricular. It's extracurricular. Okay. C-I-R-I, is it curricular? No, because it's C-U-R-I. Extracurricular. Yeah, no, it's cirricular. Anyways, tangent aside, definitely use your bones to get here. My free-to-play is here, so I know you can get here. To get to Villager extracurricular, I'm just going to say the Villager Grimoire bonus. This is a multiplier to Villager EXP. This will massively increase the Villager EXP you get in the hole, and getting to Cavern 15 should be a complete joke after that. I guarantee you will go down from the 155 hours that the hole is currently netting you right now to, hopefully down to like, I don't know, 80. Might be over exaggeration, but while you do that, also focus on Villager EXP through Bravery, Villager EXP through Justice, and Villager EXP for now in Wisdom. Now, I do want to give a last bit of advice here, just about your monuments. My big piece of advice is, please, for the love of God, try to get Justice to 24,000. It's very, very important. I would maybe consider trying to go 5k Bravery first, and then I don't know. It's kind of wishy-washy at this stage. Kind of go at your own pace, but the number one, the first monument you want at 24k for sure is Justice. The reason why is because Justice is relatively very easy. It should be the first monument you get monument AFK bonus at, because Bravery you need to hit like 30 plus waves. You need a ton of damage for it, right? Which isn't impossible at your stage because you have Belaya, but you're more likely to hit AFK gains as you have here through Justice. And the reason monument AFK gains is important is because, well, that's how you get more monument hours to make this not a 24,000 hour journey, but more like a 12,000 hour journey, or a 6,000 hour journey, or 3,000 hour journey, or even less as you put more characters on here. But number one importance is Justice at 24k, because you get more mental health and dismissals, which guarantees you get further in Justice. And these days, Justice is not that bad. Use this as a learning tool to Idleon-justice.vercel.app. This URL right here, which I can't really zoom into. There you go. I'll just that's the website. Use that. Put whatever case number you're on, and then you can use these buttons, for example, to see what you should do. So here at 121, you're at the arm guy, and oh, he's got this one. I got fined by your in-laws, blah, 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 for the 5 coin, whatever. If you approve it, you get popularity. If you reject it, you get whatever coins this X value is, right? So if you're low on coins, reject it, lose pop. If you're not low on coins, you can approve it and just get some free popularity, right? So this gives you kind of not really logic behind, but alternatives to approving, what rejecting or approving gives you, and just a little bit of reasoning behind. But ultimately, don't treat this as like, oh, just put in the case number, click on the case, and then like do what it suggests. No, learn, try to understand why it's suggesting that, because it does give a little bit of reasoning as to why, right? The whole goal of this is to not use the application, to kind of have it embedded in your brain about what you should do. This monument mechanic is very centered around a reading comprehension, and the more you read, the better the monument will be. So use that as a baseline to try to understand the mechanic a little bit more, try to understand what's happening with the encounter, how it's impacting your economy in that monument, so you can get further. That's how people get into the 100s, the 200s, the 300s, hell, even 400s of case waves. That, and obviously a lot of luck if you're trying to get into the 200 plus range, to be completely honest. But a lot of that consistency comes from hitting 24k hours in Bravery and Justice. Getting that plus mental and dismissal is very, very important as a baseline. So Justice 24k is number one priority for the whole. Obviously, trying to get to Cavern 15 overall for your explorers, obviously really, really good. Trying to get that Dragon Warrior statue before World 7 is a big stretch milestone. You definitely already are going to hit before World 7 drops, but, you know, kind of prepping, you know, getting the Deathbringer upgrade and pushing, you know, pushing the Villager Extracurricular upgrade, whatever it's called, to get that Villager EXP multi. Cool. Okay, we'll stop there. Bitsymphony, thank you so much for the account. I do appreciate you. And yeah, I hope you guys gleaned a little bit of information. Very heavy on the construction today. Talked about the construction board, which I almost never do. So let me know if you guys thought that was helpful at all. Hopefully you guys gleaned a little bit of information from the rant I did about, you know, build speed, construction speed. They mean the same thing, I think. I'm sure Sheepy's probably going to talk in the comments about how I'm wrong and there's like a subtle difference or something. There's like 0.01% code error and like rounding or whatever. Anyways, thank you guys so much. Have a great day. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.